And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we will discuss how the stimulus bill will allow you to withdraw up to $100,000 out of your retirement accounts. And also, you can borrow up to $100,000 against your retirement accounts without having to pay the 10% penalty fee, and you also can defer the taxes for up to 3 years. Also, inside of the stimulus bill, there's relief for mortgages if it's backed by the government. There's also relief for you if you're having hardships with paying your credit card bills, with paying your auto loans, and also paying your car insurance. So there's a ton of relief out here. Listen, before we get into this is not financial advice. I'm not an accountant. I am not a CFA or a CPA. My job is to give you the information. It is up to you to then take that information and take it to the proper people to get the necessary relief that you need or the aid that you need. There's a ton of relief out here. Wall Street has been bailed out time and time again. It is time that you receive the bailouts that you deserve. Just understand, as I've said time and time again, I am not being a hypocrite. This is going to cause inflation. This is going to cause moral hazard. But hey, listen, take advantage of what's there. Just make sure that you are being responsible with this information and with the money that you are borrowing against your retirement account or taking out of your retirement account. Please do me a favor as you come into the live stream. Like this video, share this video, subscribe and hit the notification bell so that people can get this content. Also, join my mailing list so that you never have to worry or rely on YouTube sending you my notifications when I'm going live or when I'm uploading a video. Also, follow me on Instagram if you want to connect with me and message me and speak with me. And if you want to support this content financially, a link to both my PayPal and CashApp is in the description below. And for those of you who donate and you ask me questions, as I've said before, Sundays is going to be our Q&A. So if you ask me a question, I want to do my due diligence and really give you a good response, right? So I don't want to just answer your questions off the cuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a step back when you donate, and then throughout the week, I'll research the topic that you want me to look into, and then Sundays will be our Q&A. So just want to put that out there for you. And with that being said, guys, let's get into the information. I am not going to say the actual name of the pandemic because when you say the name, YouTube will demonetize and de-rank your videos. So just understand when you hear me say virus or pandemic, I don't want to say this name because I don't want to get the video delisted. So it says, stimulus lets struggling Americans tap retirement accounts early. It says lawmakers in Washington are making it easier for Americans struggling with the fallout from the virus to draw on trillions of dollars in their 401ks and other retirement accounts. So this includes IRAs, Roth IRAs, if you have a 403B or 401k, all retirement accounts across the board, mostly. And again, go and seek the proper advice from the people who you need to check up on this. But again, guys, I even went into the legislation and read this. It's definitely in the bill, and we're going to read the bill after we read this article. So it says, for a limited time, Americans would be able to withdraw money from tax-deferred accounts without penalties under a stimulus package approved by Congress on Friday. Rules on 401k loans would also be relaxed, and some retirees would avoid required minimum distribution rules that might have been onerous. Some of the changes, we can skip that because this is the same thing from here. So it says one provision in the bill would let investors of any age take as much as $100,000 from retirement accounts this year without paying any early withdrawal penalty. For those of you who don't know, and this is before the age of 59 and a half. So if you have 100K in your retirement account and you're 30, you're 35, you're 40, you're 45, you can tap into that $100,000 right now and take it out, or you can borrow against it, and we'll get to that in a second. But I want to be clear with you on this. This is very, very key here. You have to make sure that you're doing the right thing with this money. This is your retirement money. And before, if you took out your money early, they would charge you a 10% penalty fee for withdrawing that money on top of the taxes. So now you're going to have the ability to defer the taxes for 3 years and also get the 10% penalty waived. Right? The 10% penalty will be waived and the taxes will be deferred for up to 3 years. And I'll get to that in a second, but I just want to make that very clear. They also could avoid taxes on the withdrawal if the money is put back in the account within 3 years. If it can't be returned, taxes could be paid over 3 years. The legislation requires that the money be a virus-related distribution, but the rules are loose. So they're saying that you have to be impacted some way by the virus. But again, guys, put on your 3D thinking caps. There's a lot of ways that you can be impacted without just losing your job. And understanding how the stock market's beginning to tank, it may be a good idea to pull some of that money out. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm just simply, read between the lines here. We don't know how much worse this can be, right? This can get bad. And if this can get worse, maybe now may be a good time to pull a little bit of money out to have that cash on hand. Don't waste it. Don't go buy a Bentley. Don't go buy a BMW. Don't go take any vacations. Just to have that cash on hand in case you may want to do something with it. Maybe you may want to invest in something, I don't know, that you may think is better. Or maybe you just may want to stock up and make sure that you have cash to buy the supplies and the things that you need to live on a day-to-day basis. But use your brain here, guys. Think about it. This is basically tax-free for 3 years. It's a lot of money, right? It says people diagnosed with the virus are eligible, along with anyone who experiences adverse financial consequences. This is why I said it is loose. It is loose. Experiences adverse financial consequences as a result of the pandemic, including an inability to find work or childcare. Retirement plan sponsors are told to rely on employees' word that they are eligible. So if you're having trouble finding childcare or whatever the case may be, you can basically use that as a reason why you can get your money out. Okay? So it says the bill also makes it easier to borrow money from 401k accounts, raising the limit to $100,000 from $50,000. The payment dates for any loan due the rest of 2020 would be extended for a year. So you can borrow money and don't have to make any payments for the next year. Blake Rhodes Anderson, you got to look at TD Ameritrade and look at Thinkorswim. Thinkorswim has a beautiful options platform, and thank you for the donation. And also, Ray's Realm, thank you for the donation. I will answer that question, Ray's Realm, on Sunday during our Q&A. That's a really good question, and it takes some in-depth analysis. But as far as options are concerned, Thinkorswim has an amazing options platform and a trading platform. I personally don't trade options like that. I invest in them every now and then just to protect myself on the downside. But if you want to get into options, Thinkorswim has an amazing, amazing platform. Now understand, guys, when you borrow this $100,000 against your 401k, you don't have to make any payments on it for up to a year. It's a lot of money that they're throwing around out here, so take advantage of that. It says when retirees reach their early 70s, they're required to start taking money out of tax-deferred accounts such as 401ks and IRAs. and pay taxes on those distributions. The bill waives those rules in 2020. Without the change, retirees' required minimum distributions will be based on their account balances at the end of 2019, when the amounts were generally much higher than they are now. A similar one-year waiver was offered around the 2008 financial crisis. It says U.S. individual retirement accounts, 401ks, and other defined contribution plans held almost $20 trillion in assets at the end of 2019. Those totals almost certainly have dropped since then as global stock markets tumbled. Though tapping 401ks may be a necessity at times, Levinson said people should view it as a last resort. Listen, guys. In my personal opinion, this isn't financial advice. I believe the market's going lower. If I can tap into my 401k right now and get some money out and hold that cash in my hand or put it in a different investment, I'm going to do that right now. I would not be playing. Let's just pull up a chart real quick. You know, I like to show you it visually so you can see. This is the S&P 500. This is a weekly chart. Within a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, the stock market was down close to 40%. Like that. If I can get my retirement money out right now, and I don't have to worry about the taxes for 3 years, even a portion of it, I can get $100,000 out, and I don't have to worry about any fees and penalties, I'm taking that money out. I'm taking that money out. That's just me personally. If I got $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in my retirement account, I'm taking some of that money out. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm taking that 100 grand out. If I got 200,000, I'm taking out 50,000. That's me. That's what I would do. Because we don't know what's going to happen over the next year to 2 years. And then you have to really start putting on your 3D thinking caps. Okay, what if this takes 18 months to get a handle on as far as the virus is concerned? And what if they don't do another stimulus package? What if they don't do another bailout? Right? Use your brain here, right? So start thinking about this. If you want to start taking that money and maybe investing in things to hedge against inflation, like gold and silver, right? You know, invest. You may have a real estate. I don't know what it may. I'm giving you a way to start thinking about how you can tap into that money that's there, and you don't have to worry about any of those things for 3 years. Just putting that out there. So the guy says, don't mortgage your future if you have other options, which I do agree. I don't think that you should, pursue this if you have other options. But if you don't have other options, or, you have a healthy retirement account, tap into that money. He thinks that the $100,000 loan amount is too high and that people may jump at that number and later regret taking out that much. Americans ages 25 to 55 pulled out about $69 billion a year from retirement accounts, according to the United States Government Accountability Office report issued last year. So again, now let's pull up the bill. Because you know me, I love to give you guys the information. So let's go here. Let's make this larger. So this is the actual bill. This is the actual legislation. This is the CARES Act that was passed. Let's zoom in a little bit. And again, please go out and seek financial advice from people who are licensed to give you professional advice. My job is just to give you the information. So if you pull up the CARES Act, and let me put this link in the description real quick so that you can go and read this article as well. Copy so that you can go and read this later on. Paste. So that's the LA Times article. I wanted to put that in there. And then I want to put the actual CARES Act, the legislation, and I want to show you where it's at in the legislation. So again, you can go and do your own due diligence and take this to the proper professionals. Because guys, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of accountants, CPAs and CFAs, they're lazy. A lot of bankers, they're lazy. I'm just going to be honest with you. They don't put the work in. They just don't. So on page 157, as you can see here, it talks about the special rules for use of retirement funds. This is the actual CARES Act that was just passed. This is the stimulus bill. Now, this is a bunch of legal jargon. I'm going to just read the parts that basically highlight what I was just saying. So it says aggregate on page 158, aggregate dollar limitation. In general, for purposes of this subsection, the aggregate amount of distributions received by an individual, which may be treated as virus-related distributions for any taxable year, shall not exceed $100,000. So they're letting you know right here that you can get the money for $100,000, up to $100,000. So it's in the bill. So I'm not making this up. I'm not here clickbaiting you. It's in the legislation. It's in the article. Go out and do what you have to do to get this money. Do not just let the money sit there. And then right here it says, in general, right? It says amount distributed may be repaid on page 159. In general, any individual who receives a virus-related distribution may, at any time during the 3-year period beginning on the day after the date on which such distributions was received, make one or more contributions in an aggregate amount not to exceed the amount of such distribution to eligible retirement plan of which such individual is a beneficiary and to which a rollover contribution of such distribution could be made under section 402C, 403A4, 403B8, 408D3, or 457E16 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, as the case may be. Again, go ahead and read this. This is a bunch of legal jargon. Guys, this is for all retirement accounts as far as Roth IRAs, 403Bs, 401Ks, across the board. You can withdraw up to $100,000 from your retirement accounts. That's why I say accounts, because it's most popular retirement accounts. And you don't have to pay the 10% fee, the early withdrawal fee. So you don't have to be 59 and a half. You can withdraw. You can be 30, 35, 40, and the 10% fee will be waived. And the taxes will be deferred for up to 3 years. So I'm going to put that out there. So I want to read this article. And I've read this article before, but it says, what is the average baby boomer retirement savings? Right? And for those of you who do not know who baby boomers are, it says, although the age range isn't exact, the youngest baby boomers are around 55 and the oldest are now in their 70s. And every day, 10,000 boomers reach the age of retirement. Baby boomers don't have enough saved. And this goes back into, do you want to, if you're at that retirement age right now, do you want to keep gambling on the stock market? This is something that you have to ask yourself. Remember, this is personal finance. Do you want your retirement to be dictated on whether or not the stock market is going to collapse another 30%, or if you want to get that money out now, up to $100,000? You have to ask yourself that question. In April of 2018, Gallup poll found that 41% of people plan to work past the age of 65. According to a 2018 Slight Lines report, 30% of baby boomers haven't saved anything for retirement. For those with something saved, the median balance for those born between 1948 and 1953 was $290,000. For those born between 1954 and 59, they have saved around $209,000. Those numbers may not sound too alarming, but that $290,000 in retirement savings equates to about $12,000 per year using the standard 4% withdrawal rate. Even adding in Social Security benefits at $17,532, an average baby boomer is only bringing in about $29,453 per year. Hardly an income a person can live on comfortably. A 2018 report from the Insured Retirement Institute, ISI, report found that 46% of baby boomers believe they will need at least $45,000 in income. So you got to go out here and you really got to go and do your due diligence on what needs to be done. And you have to ask yourself, do you have enough saved up right now for retirement if you are a baby boomer? And do you want to potentially see another 30% wiped out? Or, can you tap into that $100,000 right now and just hold it in a bank account? Right? Ask yourself that question, right? If you can tap into, if you got $300,000 or $400,000 right now in some type of retirement account, even if you're younger, let's say you're in your 40s or your 30s, and you can tap into that money and just hold it in a bank account. Long as you put the money back, if everything, me, guys, people call me a fence sitter. I call it using common sense. I don't commit to any one position. I like to hedge myself, right? Smart investors hedge themselves. And if you're hedging yourself and you're saying, if I got $200,000 or $300,000 in a retirement, and I could take out $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000, and just park that in a bank account somewhere just to make sure that I don't lose a hell of a lot more of my money, then why not do that? This is in effect. It says, Eli, when does this go into effect? When I go to withdraw 401k, it says, no, this is in effect now, guys. This is the law of the land right here. This is the law of the land. This is the legislation that was passed on Friday. This is a part of the CARES Act. Wherever your retirement account is being held at, you need to get in contact with that brokerage, with the administrator of it, and contact them and let them know this is law of the land today. You can tap into those retirement accounts. It's in here. You just have to let them know that you're having a hardship based upon what's happening in the economy right now. You have to be able to read between the lines and go here and take care of that. Listen, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just giving you information. And there's 151 of you watching the video. Guys, it is free to like the video. Please like the video. It helps the content rank in the search engines. Please like the video. Now, there's also homeowner relief. And a simple Google search, guys, will pull up a lot of this information. I've been diving deep into the legislation because most of this stuff really doesn't apply to me and my business, which sucks. But, that's a topic for a later video. But as you can see here, here's how the stimulus bill would help homeowners. Again, guys, there's a lot of relief out here for those of you who are homeowners. Don't just sit around and listen to a bunch of doom and gloom. Do some digging around. As I said, you can get relief on your credit cards. There's relief where you don't have to pay your student loans. There's relief on your car loans. There's relief on your car insurance. All of these payments could be removed or deferred. Your utility bills, again, it's going to be tough out here. And putting on my thinking caps, as I said to you before, when you see them doing all of this stuff, this is going to have lingering effects for the next 3 to 6 months, maybe even a year. This is going to fundamentally shift the economy. You don't see this type of money printing and legislation getting passed unless they believe that this is going to be bad. So, guys, getting some cash in hand will not be a bad idea, in my personal opinion. I'm just going to be honest with you. Right? So, I don't have to talk about the stimulus. We know what that is. It says the bill will allow homeowners with federally backed mortgage loans to request loan forbearance, that is delayed payment, for an initial period of 180 days. And that forbearance could be extended for another 180-day period if necessary. That's a long time that you can have your payments in forbearance and deferred. Homeowners must contact their mortgage servicers directly in order to request the forbearance. Again, guys, my job is to give you the information. You still have to go and make those contacts. You have to get on the phone and contact your mortgage servicers. You have to contact your car insurance company. You have to go out there and contact these people. The bill also halts foreclosures on properties with federally backed loans. Those with federally backed multifamily mortgages are also covered. Borrowers who are current on their payments can request forbearance for up to 90 days. Mortgage companies like Quicken Loans, who would still be on the hook for interest and principal if borrowers miss mortgage payments during the crisis, have been lobbying Congress to establish a lending program worth billions of dollars to help them keep up with payments. The lending program would make it possible for more homeowners to obtain forbearance agreements. And I'll put this article out here for you, and you can go out here and do your due diligence on this. Right here, it says a credit card payment and debt relief. I told a few of my people who follow me on Instagram and Twitter the other day that you can contact your credit card company and explain to them, hey, I can't make the payments. And they will waive your payment for that month. They'll suspend the payments. Go out here and get this relief. Corporations get bailed out all the time. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let's take a sip of water. My mouth's getting dry. 153 of you watching the video. Come on, hit the like button. Get the likes up. As I said, the airline companies are getting bailed out. The banks got bailed out in 2008. The Fed's printing trillions of dollars, bailing everyone out through the repo market, doing quantitative easing, buying treasuries, buying corporate debt, buying ETFs. Why not go get some of this free money? The question is, what are you going to do with this money? Be responsible with it. Make sure that you are being responsible with this money. It's your money. But be responsible with it. Do not be a fool with this money. Same thing with the loan. As I was breaking down the loan last night. And I want to clarify that. The $10,000 that they give you, that initial $10,000, up to $10,000, is not just $10,000. It's up to $10,000. That's a grant, right? It's an emergency grant. Anything after that is going to be a loan, right? That grant is forgivable, the up to $10,000 grant. Then anything after that is going to be considered a interest-free loan. As long as you use the loan to hire people, to keep your employees on the books, and do everything that you're supposed to do. Use it for paying for your mortgage or your rent for your business. You don't have to pay back the loan. The loan is forgivable if you use it on your business. If you don't use that loan on your business through the SBA.gov website, if you don't use it, then yes, you will have to pay it back. Right? So I want to make that clear. Same thing with the retirement accounts, right? Like, you have 3 years to defer those taxes. The 10% fee is waived. Get the cash, hold the cash. That's all. Not complicated at all, right? So now we get to the good stuff, because this is all money printing, right? Let's just be honest about this. The Fed and the U.S. government is throwing everything they can at the economy, which should be telling you that things are going to probably get worse. Things are going to get, in my opinion, like, you don't see them doing all of this because they think things are going to get better. And to the point where you have the Fed president from the Minneapolis Bank saying stuff like this. And I put this up on my Instagram earlier today. I want to play this for you.
Can you characterize everything that the Fed has done this past week as essentially flooding the system with money?
Yes, exactly.
And there's no end to your ability to do that?
There is no end to our ability to do that.
Is the Fed just going to print money?
That's literally what Congress has told us to do. That's the authority that they've given us to print money and provide liquidity into the financial system. And that's how we do it. We create it electronically, and then we can also print it with the Treasury Department, print it so that you can get money out of your ATM.
Can you characterize everything that the Fed has done this past week as essentially flooding the system with money?
Yes, exactly.
And there's no end to your ability to do that?
There is no end to our ability to do that.
Is the Fed just going to print money?
That's literally what Congress has told us to do. That's the authority that they've given us to print money and provide liquidity into the financial system. And that's how we do it. We create it electronically, and then we can also print it with the Treasury Department, print it so that you can get money out of your ATM.
So as I said before, I laugh at a lot of you guys when you come onto my videos and you tell me that I am not an economist and I don't know what I'm talking about, when in reality, I'm really just playing their words for you, right? Like I'm not, see, one thing about me, I pride myself in having common sense. I think that common sense can take you a hell of a lot further than, any level of high IQ could ever take you. If you just simply listen to what they're saying, they're telling you they print money. You don't have to have a PhD in finance and economics to see this. When you see the Fed and the government, 2 trillion here, 4 trillion here, 6 trillion there, any person with a brain can tell you that that's going to flood the market with dollars. And now what they're telling you, they're using this virus as an excuse. They've been printing money. The only difference is now instead of printing a couple of $1 billion, it's a couple $1 trillion. That's the only difference. The problem is the money printer, the people who sit the closest to the money printer, the corporations, the banks, Wall Street, they get all of the benefits and you don't, which is why I'm telling you, if it was me and I can take out $50,000 from my retirement account and not have to worry about the taxes and not have to worry about the 10% penalty, or I could take out $100,000, I'm taking that $100,000 out of my retirement account. I'm doing that. That's me. Again, this isn't financial advice. You have to do what you have to do is best for you. But they're putting it in your face. Okay? They're putting it in your face. Here goes Trump right here. This is the conservative saying this stuff.
Which could choke an entire herd of horses. And before you even had a chance to put pen to paper, people were already signed a bill today the size of which could choke an entire herd of horses. And before you even had a chance to put pen to paper, people were already talking about the need for phase 4. Yeah. Do you see a need for phase 4, and where do you think the priorities are?
Well, it may be something where we're going to have to help states, because the states have been hurt very badly. And the beautiful thing about our country is 6.2 trillion, because it is 2.2 plus 4. It's $6.2 trillion, and we can handle that easily because of who we are, what we are. It's our money, we are the ones, it's our currency. We can handle it, and we can handle, I watched Jerome Powell the other day, and he did a good job. He said, we'll do whatever we have to do. John, we have to do whatever we have to do.
You signed a bill today the size of which could choke an entire herd of horses. And before you even had a chance to put pen to paper, people were already talking about the need for phase 4. Yeah. Do you see a need for phase 4, and where do you think the priorities are?
Well, it may be something where we're going to have to help states, because the states have been hurt very badly. And the beautiful thing about our country is 6.2 trillion, because it is 2.2 plus 4. It's $6.2 trillion, and we can handle that easily because of who we are, what we are. It's our It's our money. We are the ones. It's our currency. We can handle it, and we can handle. I watched Jerome Powell the other day, and he did a good job. He said, "We'll do whatever we have to do." John, we have to do whatever we have to do.
Now, again, this is a guy who ran on a platform of the stock market's a bubble. And I'm going to play the words for you. See, one thing about me, when I give you information, I give you substance. I give you tangible information that you can act on, that you can see, that you can touch, right? I don't deal in conspiracy theory. I deal in fact. I deal in things that you can prove. Your president ran on the idea that the Fed was manipulating the stock market. Your president ran on the idea that the stock market was a bubble. And then when he became the president, he touted the stock market as a success. And I was telling you guys that the stock market only was going up because of stock buybacks, because of financial engineering. It wasn't because these companies were more profitable. It wasn't because they were hiring more people. See, inflation isn't bad. When you're using inflation to invest in productive things, right? When you're investing in CapEx, where you're buying machinery and equipment, when you're paying your employees, when you're teaching your employees new skills and growing the economy through a bottom-up fashion. But when all of the inflation is in the form of higher prices or higher asset prices, and most Americans don't own those assets, that inflation doesn't benefit the 99%. It only benefits the top 1%, those that are in the financial economy, which is why when you see people happy about getting a $1,200 stimulus check, but they're giving trillions of dollars to Wall Street, that means billions of dollars is going to end up in the hands of people who are already rich. And again, because I know I'm going to get the trolls that's going to come on here. So I'm just going to play your president's words for you. This is your president. This is from September 26, 2016. And there's 185 of you watching this. Hit the like button. It's free to like the video. Hit the like button. I want you to hear what your president had to say on the campaign trail. Now it's our currency. We can do what we want with it. He sounds like a modern monetary theorist. I mean, one of those MMT people. The modern monetary theory. Sounds like what he's practicing now. So let's play it.
Mr. Trump,
Typical politician, all talk, no act.
Mr. Trump,
Typical politician, all talk, no action, sounds good, doesn't work, never going to happen. Our country is suffering because people like Secretary Clinton have made such bad decisions in terms of our jobs and in terms of what's going on. Now, look, we have the worst revival of an economy since the Great Depression. And believe me, we're in a bubble right now. And the only thing that looks good is the stock market. But if you raise interest rates even a little bit, that's going to come crashing down. We are in a big, fat, ugly bubble. And we better be awfully careful. And we have a Fed that's doing political things. This Janet Yellen of the Fed. The Fed is doing political by keeping the interest rates at this level. And believe me, the day Obama goes off and he leaves and he goes out to the golf course for the rest of his life to play golf, when they raise interest rates, you're going to see some very bad things happen because the Fed is not doing their job. The Fed is being more political than Secretary.
So now I want you to think about that. So here we are now, March 31st, 2020. Interest rates are at 0%. Unemployment is going to spike to probably 12, 13, 14%. The tariff war was a joke. Stock market's down 40%. You didn't get the wall. So like someone just said, then why not vote for Bernie Sanders, right? If you have no ideals and principles that you're going to stand on, then why? Then you might as well vote for Bernie because every politician right now is turning into Bernie. We just got to print more money and bail this one out and bail that one out and bail this one out. Why not? Every politician's a socialist now. It's all about bailouts. It's a joke. Our manufacturing base contracted before this whole thing happened with the pandemic. We were in a manufacturing recession for a year and a half. So at a certain point now, you have to start saying to yourself, right? You have to start really sitting down and say to yourself that something's fundamentally wrong here. And they're going to use this pandemic as an excuse. The pandemic was just the pin that popped the bubble. That's all. And now that the bubble popped, now we see what's going on, which is why that goes back to withdrawing your money out of a retirement account. We see where the market's at. If I can get my money out of this stock market up to $100,000 and defer the taxes for 3 years and waive that fee, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to look at me personally. I'm just telling you what I would be doing. I would be looking to get my money into some different assets outside of the financial system, because we know that this system is unstable. And I show you guys this Excel spreadsheet all the time because it's important to understand what inflation is and what inflation has done to your purchasing power and what all of this money printing is going to do to your purchasing power. First, you get the deflation, then you get the inflation. The deflation is the excuse to inflate the currency. The deflation is the excuse to inflate the currency, to inflate the money supply. That's the whole point. Problem, reaction, solution. Politicians just want to print money. Every single year since 1971, you've been getting inflation. I think there was 1 year where there was no inflation. And that's if you believe the CPI numbers, the government data, which none of us believes because it excludes so many things that you and I use on a daily basis, like the cost of education is not in the CPI, like healthcare costs are not in the CPI. And the two industries that the government heavily subsidizes, healthcare, right, and education, have massive inflation. Has massive amounts of inflation. Look at this, 1971. And I picked $35. For those of you who've been watching me, you know why. Because in 1971, you could buy an ounce of gold for $35. And every single year, we got inflation. 4%, 3%, 6%, 11%, 9%, over and over and over again. And this is the government. This is government data telling you this. You can go pull this up on the CPI's website. I show you this picture all the time. Look at the value of your dollar. You've lost 90% of your purchasing power. What do you think is going to happen when they're talking about 4 trillion here and 2 trillion there and a trillion there? What do you think is going to happen? You used to can go to college for $5,000 was the cost of college tuition. $5,000. $5,000. I showed you guys this picture the other day. I'll show it to you again. I put this picture up. Where's it at? I removed it. Let me pull it up again. I showed you guys this picture. Where's it at? Go here. Go to channel. Of a McDonald's menu. And I like to show it to you again, so you can understand. This is why I would be trying to get my money out if I could. I'm just being honest. If it was me, and please don't make any financial decisions based upon what I'm saying, but this is a McDonald's menu. So for you people who troll me and say I don't know what I'm talking about, right? 48 cents. You can get a Filet-O-Fish. This is in 1970. This is the McDonald's menu. 33 cents for a cheeseburger. 26 cents for a hamburger. 20 cents for milk. The dollar is still the same. It's the purchasing power of the dollar. It's what the dollar can buy. And this is the difference between Keynesians and Austrians. There's two schools of economic thought. The problem is when most people go to college, they become indoctrinated. And see, this is where academia fails us, because most economists, they all think the same, right? So What good is it to have a Republican president who thinks like a socialist like Bernie Sanders? What good is there to have a conservative, a Republican president, if the minute that there's a crisis, he wants to do the same thing Bernie does? It's pointless then. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Then I had a fool come on my video and tell me, oh, look how long it took for gold to go up. Right? And it just goes to show you how ignorant a lot of people how ignorant people are. Okay, and here in 71, gold was $35. Gold was $75. So we're coming up on almost 50 years now since we've been off the gold standard. We fully got off, right? Think about this. Think about this. If I put my money in gold, I maintain purchasing power. This is not about investing. This is how you know people are dumb. You don't buy gold because you're looking to speculate to make money. You buy gold because you want to maintain wealth and purchasing power. That's the whole purpose of making an investment in gold. Yes, Bitcoin or Tesla or Apple or stock that's speculative that can go from $1 to $200 is going to make you more money because that's an investment. Money is supposed to maintain purchasing power and value. That's the difference. Use your brain. This is why we have a brain. You have to learn how to use it. I know a lot of you're used to being controlled and told what to do. And I'm not talking about those of you who are smart. So please don't come on and say, oh, you talk down to your subscribers. I'm not talking down to my subscribers. I'm talking to the trolls that come on my video because most people, they look at this like a stock. Gold is not a stock. Gold is money. Your dollar is a debt-based instrument. It is fiat currency. Gold is money. It's been money for thousands of years throughout multiple civilizations. Gold is money. The green pieces of paper you hold in your pocket is debt. Money is debt. It's a big difference. Big difference. And I keep trying to tell you guys this over and over and over again. The blue line represents the debt in the system. The red line represents the cash in the system. You don't have to have a PhD, and they just updated this, right? So now I'm looking at the M1 money stock, not the M2, right? And so now, as of, what's this? What the date am I looking at? I want to make sure I have my dates correct. As of 3/16, there's $3 trillion overall in the banking system. And let's see if we can get the exact debt number. It's hard to get it. And there's $75.4 trillion. You don't have to have a PhD in economics to see this. You don't have you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist to see this. Gold is money. The green pieces of paper in your pocket is debt. Okay? I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not telling you to buy gold because you're going to speculate and make money, right? If you want to speculate, you speculate in Bitcoin. You speculate in the stock market. You short oil or you go long oil, right? You buy a stock. You speculate in real estate. You speculate in other asset classes. We're talking about money. So again, if I have money and I'm trading my most valuable asset, which is time, I want to get paid in something that's either going to maintain its purchasing power over time. And this is where generational wealth comes into play. What are you going to hand down to your children? Are you going to hand down a bunch of pieces of paper that's going to lose value? Or are you going to hand down some land? Are you going to hand down some real estate? Are you going to hand down some gold, some silver, right? This is the time where wealth is created and wealth is destroyed. Wealth will be created and wealth will be destroyed. It's not the end of the world. So, going back to the point of this video, even if I'm not having an economic hardship, I'm waiving my car loan. I'm waiving my car insurance. I'm getting my student loans waived for right now. I'm taking advantage of everything that the government is providing to me. Why? Because corporations are doing it. Corporations been doing it. Corporations don't pay any taxes. Corporations look to get every bailout that they can get. So you do the same. You go here and get that $100,000 if you can. Again, it's not financial advice. It's just me telling you what I would do. That's all. Same thing with the SBA loans and the SBA grants. If you can get them, get them. That's all. Get them. So let's see what questions is here. I answered that question all the time. I'll give you another James Summer. Go to these are the places that I use, that I trust. AppMex and JM Bullion. So I'll put it up here on the top. And as you can see, note, due to extreme order volumes, please expect a shipping delay of up to 3 business days. Temporary $299 order minimum is in effect. So again, you're going to pay a premium because there's just a lot of demand for the physical right now. Right? There's just a lot of demand for physical gold, and that's the reality. And someone put a really a good comment in here. It said, Tony Bass said, gold is honest money. It is disliked by dishonest men. And that is 100% the truth. People, central bankers hate gold because they know that it constricts them and it forces you to have to do business honestly and not pick and choose winners and losers and who you want to bail out. It's either you have the gold or you don't. If you don't have the gold, you can't spend the money. AJ says, do you think any Fortune 500 companies will be filing bankruptcy since it's the end of Q1? I haven't looked at any particular companies, but I know for a fact if you look at a lot of the, most of the companies in the oil space, they're in trouble, especially the refineries. The people who refine oil, the drillers and the refiners are going to be in trouble. Many of them, they're loaded up with debt, and their profit margin, oil has to be above $30 a barrel. So we see oil in the 20s, they're bleeding money. They're just bleeding money. That's the reality. We're going to start to see a lot of them filing for bankruptcy. The same thing that's going to happen with a lot of these the airline companies. The bailout that they received is not enough. The bailout needs to be at least $10 trillion. I was listening to Nouriel Roubini the other day, and for those of you who don't know, Nouriel Roubini is an economist, and he was talking about that the bailout needs to be at least $10 trillion. Right? It needs to be at least $10 trillion. $10 trillion is what the bailout needs to be just to start. And then the Fed needs to inject so much liquidity and buy up so much debt because we know money is debt. Right? We know just looking at how the economy functions. There's no real cash in the system, reserves. There's mainly just debt instruments, of which is levered times 10, times 20, times 30. So a lot of these airline companies, they're either going to have to merge with each other, just like the banks did in 2008, how they brought up Wachovia and Washington Mutual. The same thing is going to have to happen with a lot of these airline companies. They're just not going to be able to make it. And the same thing with a lot of these the oil spaces. Even the shale companies, they're in trouble. Big trouble. A lot of restaurant brands are in trouble as well because who's going out right now spending money? It's not happening. So you're going to see a lot. Retailers are going to be in trouble as well. I think after this is said and done, there may only be 2 major retailers in the United States, maybe 3. And that's going to probably be Walmart, Amazon, and Target. Are probably be the only retailers left after this is said and done. Right? So you got to really start thinking about, so like if you're really looking at shorting stocks right now, like this is for people, if you have skills in the marketplace and you know how to invest, if you have skills, you know how to trade, or you're into options and stuff like that, you may really want to start looking at options in some of these retail brands and some of these oil companies. You may want to start looking at some of these airline stocks and, you know, these, what's the name? What's the other word I'm looking for? Not retailers. Hospitality industry. That's the word I want to use. The hospitality industry, the food industry. You know, like a lot of these restaurants, they're in trouble. They're in big trouble. Even hotels. A lot of hotel companies, their stocks are getting hit heavy. Some of them are going to go out of business. Thank you for the donation, Be Easy 333. It says, would now be a good time to buy rental property considering the current state of the American economy. Okay, I don't like to say whether it's a good time or not, right? Let's approach it from this way. Let's look at it from the pros and cons. Remember, like when I used to work at the investment bank years ago, right? I didn't do like the macro trading or the macro investing, but I knew macro investors. And like they used to have the stuff on the board, right? Of what you need to see in order to be bullish versus what you need to see to change that position to bearish or neutral. Here's the reason why I would be buying real estate. These are the pros, right? It's going to be probably easy to get funding now because they're gonna lower the lending criteria to get more loans out there. A lot of people are going to be distressed looking to sell, so you're going to probably be able to scoop up real estate for from really attractive prices. And then, you know, mortgage rates are very, very low. So you have that in your favor as far as being a bull. But then now you have to start looking at what are the risks, right? Okay, what if this thing continues to go another year to a year and a half and more people lose their job and they can't pay their bills? Do you have enough other income sources, right? Multiple streams of income to service that debt if you don't have a tenant, or if you have a tenant in that property that can't pay? Because see, right now the government is creating that buffer. But what if we get to a point where the government doesn't create that buffer anymore? What if we get to a point where the government says, hey, we're just going to let certain banks fail? Hey, we're going to let the American citizens fail. What if the economy doesn't recover? What if it's another 3 years, 4 years? What if you buy real estate today and it drops another 40%? Right? So you have to really start thinking now. Now you have to start weighing the pros and the cons, right? Yeah, mortgage rates may be cheap, but if real estate drops another 40%, it's still not a good deal for me, right? If I get tenants in the property for the next, let's say I get a tenants and they're paying for 3 or 4 months, but the economy gets worse and they can't pay, can I service that debt? Or will my property sit empty? Right? So these are things that you have to start thinking about. You have to really start weighing your options. Again, macro themes. Like, for example, like when I'm investing in gold and silver, or I'm investing in Bitcoin, I'm looking to hold these things for the next 3, 5, maybe even 7 years. Right? Because I believe that these investments are going to pay me an outsized return. But if I see the Bitcoin blockchain and the network get 51% attacked and they can roll back the chain and the security is not the same, well, I have to now change my investment thesis because Bitcoin isn't what I thought it was. Right? If I see massive liquidations of gold and people dumping gold and I see the government stop printing money, well, now I have to change why am I buying gold? Because if the government stops printing money and let's say Europe goes from negative rates to neutral rates or 2% or 3% interest rates, well, I have to start selling my gold now. You can't be married to a position emotionally. You have to look at things logically. So real estate's a good investment if you can handle the debt, right? Real estate's a good investment if you are not worried about having tenants or not. You have cash on hand. But if you're going to have very thin margins and you're going to have to depend on tenants, we're going to be in a rocky economy. We may see 12% unemployment, 15% unemployment rates. right? What if we stay in the national, the state of emergency, and they suspend all, rent payments and mortgage payments? You have to think about these things, right? Because the government has the power to basically say you can't foreclose on anyone or you can't evict anyone. So you have to think about these things. You got to really, really start putting things in proper perspective and asking yourself, do the pros outweigh the cons, and can I handle the cons if they come? Like I was saying yesterday, if Bitcoin drops to $1,000, I'm prostituting, I'm selling my body, I'm selling everything in my house, I'm creating an OnlyFans, I'm getting on Tinder, because I'm going to keep buying it because I know fundamentally nothing's changed. It's just price dropping because people are being liquidated. But if it changes because something fundamentally happened to the technology, well, then I have to get out of that position because the investment thesis, the bullish case, is no longer there. Alexander Wilson, thank you for the donation. It says the stimulus package is giving small businesses enhanced bankruptcy opportunities. They almost thrilled the relief amount. Costco will still exist. I said this yesterday. I think that a lot of small businesses should file bankruptcy right now. I think getting that loan it makes no sense to hire employees or keep employees on the books when there's no demand for your service or product, right? And see, this goes back to moral hazard, right? This goes back to quantitative easing. This goes back to, creating money out of thin air. This goes back to bailouts. You are trying to, Keynesian economics doesn't work because they believe that all spending is good spending, but it's not. Right, like they don't care what Keynes believed that no matter where you spend money, as long as you spend it, that it's good for the economy, but it's not. Right, it's just not, because when you take a step back, you say to yourself, you're basically bribing businesses to keep employees on the books when there's no demand for their product. Like if we're under quarantine and you're paying employees, but no one's coming to your store, what's the point? Right, there's no demand for your service. So, it's malinvestment. It's not smart investment. But, government isn't efficient in how they spend capital because it's not their money. No one's going to be efficient when it's not their money. I think a lot of these businesses are better off filing bankruptcy, and there's nothing wrong with filing bankruptcy. It's nothing. People think like filing bankruptcy is bad. It's nothing wrong. It just means you are over levered and you have some debts and you need to restructure it. It's nothing wrong with filing bankruptcy. It's good. It's healthy. That's what it's there for. But when it's all said and done, like you said, there's only going to be a certain amount of retailers. Costco is going to be one of them. Costco is still performing well. Last time I checked, they were performing well based upon people hoarding stuff. So we'll see how earnings look coming over the next 2 quarters, 3 quarters. But Goldman Sachs is expecting a 9% dip this quarter. And then they're expecting a 16% dip next quarter. And then they're expecting a very, very sharp rebound in the third quarter as far as, GDP is concerned. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I believe there's going to be pockets that perform well, and there's going to be dislocations. Certain economies are going to be in massive contraction and feel like a depression. Like, I don't think that we're going to have like an all-out depression like we had in the 30s. I believe that with technology and innovation and money printing, you're going to see booms and busts in different, different sectors and restructuring. And I think that that's good, which is why if you can get some money out right now from that 401k, that IRA, that Roth IRA, take that money out and put that money somewhere. Because what if we experience deflation, right? See, this is the thing you have to ask yourself. Let's spin this a different way. Let's say that I'm wrong and we don't get inflation, but we get deflation, right? Let's say that modern monetary theory is correct and that we can borrow and our debt is denominated in our own currency. So, us gold bugs, we don't know what the hell we're talking about. Us Bitcoiners, we're dumb, we're stupid. We're spending all this money on electricity to secure the network. We're killing the planet. Let's say we're dumb people. And all of these modern monetary theory people are smart and we experience deflation. Then that means your cash is going to be extremely valuable, right? And if we experience deflation, especially asset deflation, that means that the stock market is going to go much lower. That means real estate is going to go much lower and the value of the dollar is going to go much higher. So let's say that you want to take the other side of my trade. Let's say that I'm stupid and you're smart. You want to have as many dollars as possible, right? Because that means that debt is going to have to get marked down. asset prices are going to have to come way down if we get deflation. So that's if you believe that, then go get your money, right? Keep your money in your pocket. Don't keep it in the stock market if you believe that the dollar is going to appreciate in value. And you know me, I'm a firm believer in put your money where your mouth is. If you believe in deflation and you believe that the United States is going to weather this, then you want to hold dollars. If you believe that we're going to experience inflation, you want to hold alternative assets like gold, Bitcoin, or even stocks, right? Because if you get inflation, the stock market is going to go up. The question is the stock market going to rise faster than the inflation rate? Is the question. Because in Venezuela, their stock market's booming. In Zimbabwe, their stock market's booming. But their money's worth nothing. So what good is it if Apple goes to $2,000, but a loaf of bread costs you, $1,000? It's pointless if you get hyperinflation. Thank you for the donation, Be Easy. Your well-balanced response is much appreciated. Yeah, that's what investing's about, guys. It's about knowing risk and reward. It's not about being correct. It's about understanding where I want to be and where I don't want to be. As I said before, like if I see Bitcoin get attacked that way, or if I see Bitcoin stop trying to be digital gold and they start trying to be like Bitcoin Cash or some garbage coin like that, then I'm selling all my Bitcoin because it's not what I'm looking to invest in. I'm investing in the idea that Bitcoin is going to be digital gold and it's going to be the native currency of the internet. The money over internet protocol is why I believe in Bitcoin. There's 228 of you watching this. Like the video. Now, if Bitcoin stops doing that and they want to be Ethereum or some smart contract or a dApp platform, then I no longer want to own Bitcoin. I have a lot of money in Microsoft and Nvidia stock. Should I sell it, buy it, hold it right now? I don't need the money, but I'm weighing my options. See, I talked about Nvidia the other day. I love Nvidia. It's funny you said that. I don't know if you was watching the live stream. Thank you for the donation. I could have made a lot of money in Nvidia. I used to play with it back in the day. I used to trade stocks. Like, this isn't financial advice, right? But I'm going to be honest with you. Like tech stocks, I wouldn't want to sell those stocks. Right? I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I would not want to sell, like Apple. I'm not selling my Apple. I'm buying more. I'm dollar cost averaging, right? Like fundamentally, when you look at the chip makers, right? And you look at what Nvidia does. Do you believe that we're going to still be using microchips and GPUs in computers and stuff? Of course we are. Right? Everything's technology. I'm not selling Nvidia. Now, Microsoft is garbage. Well, let me not say garbage, but I wouldn't say Microsoft is garbage. I would just say they're not innovating, right? So Microsoft, you may have to think twice about. But like Nvidia, I'm holding my Nvidia. I wouldn't be selling Nvidia at all, in my opinion. Like, I would hold Nvidia. Amazon, Google, like I'm holding those stocks because you understand you're investing in the future. And everything's going to have chips in it, right? So you believe in if you believe in self-driving cars and self-driving trucks, if you believe in, faster phones and faster processors and microprocessing units, you want Nvidia. Like, you want Qualcomm, right? If you believe in tech. So Nvidia, I would hold Nvidia. I wouldn't move Nvidia at all. I'll add more, like on the way down. That's something I would dollar cost average with Nvidia. When I look at Microsoft, it's like, they're not innovating enough for me as far as the tech is concerned. So that's just my opinion. Happy to be nappy. Jay Morrison, no, stay away. JMO, that's interesting. Jay Morrison is now promoting stocks. He's teaching an online class this weekend. Yeah. Notice that him and Polite did a live stream together. And now Polite's promoting stocks. And Jay Morrison's promoting stocks, right? And it's funny because I was watching Brother Polite's video. And he said two things that I know for a fact he's watching my videos. Number one, he talked about quantitative easing. And he's never spoken about quantitative easing before, ever. And then he said, because remember I said in the video, there's no way that one man can have multiple wives, be a real estate guru, be a celebrity mentor, be a health expert, be a master in stocks, and then be a master in blockchain technology. And then he said during his live stream on Instagram, people don't understand that, I have a team, and that's why I can do multiple things at one time, and I can, do multiple businesses. So I knew for a fact that he's been watching me, right? And I know Jay Morrison's watching me because he blocked me. Like Jay Morrison has me blocked on Instagram. So I know for a fact that Jay Morrison seen my videos that I made about him because he blocked me on Instagram. So I know that him and Polite, they've done a live stream together, and I know that they're watching me. And see, people are very threatened by me because I'm real. I really do this in real life, like Jay Morrison says. And I don't sell courses. I don't sell lectures. I don't sell videos. I invest my own money, and I make money or I lose money. You don't see me trying to sell you a stock market course this week and a Bitcoin course next week and a real estate course this week. And then I want my gold shoes on. Like, you see me, I talk to you about the same things: gold, silver, crypto. Gold, silver, crypto, and cash flowing real estate. That's it. You're not going to see me come up here and start talking to you about options trading, right? I'm not going to come up here and talk to you about fix and flips and real estate funds. You don't see me doing that, right? But when you see these people doing that, they're desperate. They're reaching for money, because see, this goes into Grant Cardone, and I'm about to do a video. On Grant Cardone. I'm about to go in on Grant Cardone. Not because I think that he's not that I think he's scamming people, but because, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee explained this before. He's broken this down time and time again. Whenever you see a person celebrating lifestyle, that goes back to the boom and bust cycle. When the economy's booming, you see people, they over leverage themselves. They create these larger than life lifestyles. They have the Rolls Royce. They have the Phantoms. They have the jets. But all of that stuff is rented or it's through debt. And when you understand money is debt, these people are just over leveraging themselves. And then when the economy contracts, they get exposed. They have to lay off their staff. They have to give back that jet. They have to go and pawn that Rolex because they were living off borrowed money. Everyone looks like a genius in a bull market. Everyone looks rich when the bull market's here. The smart money waits for the bear market to invest and gobble up everything when it's cheap. That's what smart money does, right? Smart money sits back and lets the dumb money over leverage. That's what the smart money does. I'm sitting back waiting for this market to come down and waiting for real estate to come down to buy in key areas. Because real estate's about location, right? Now, I may not get my entry. Sometimes you don't get what you want, then I don't buy. It's about being disciplined as an investor. But going back to Grant Cardone, I've been in this space for so long that I've seen so many Grant Cardones over my time. Right? I've seen so many Grants come and go. And I'll answer your question in a second, Alexander Wilson. I've seen so many Grants come and go. The flashy guys. I've seen the Jonathan Budds, the Mike Dillards, the Frank Kerns. I've been around for a long time. I've purchased their garbage courses. And every week they're just selling you something different. This week is email marketing. Next week is ad copy. Then they're selling you a Facebook course. Then they're selling you an Instagram course. Then they're selling you a YouTube course. They make money off of selling you that you can do what they do. But they only make the money because they're selling you the dream. The car is rented. The jet's not theirs. It's all fake. It's a facade. It's all a facade. And then now the economy contracts, and now they have to be a jack of all trades, right? And see, people like me, I sit back and I'm never going to make the big money like those guys because I'm not gonna sacrifice my integrity. I'm not doing that. If I have to rent a Lamborghini to show you that I'm rich, to get you to buy my course, then my course isn't for you. If I have to go rent a jet for the weekend and fly to Miami and get an Airbnb and act like it's my house, then I guess getting rich isn't for me. Right? But what I've learned is that if you keep it real and keep it realistic, you'll attract real people. Right? If you keep it, you only need quality, you don't need quantity. And a lot of people miss that. You only need quality in business, you don't need quantity. Give me 10 or 15 motivated people and we can take over the world. I don't need thousands of rah-rah people. If I gotta get on a stage with a microphone in a stadium to get you motivated to go out here and want to make money for your family, then being an entrepreneur is not for you. And that's the reality. Most people aren't built to be entrepreneurs. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working a job. There's nothing wrong with saving money for your family. There's nothing wrong with making $60,000 or $70,000 a year. There's nothing wrong with that. And anyone who tells you that there's something wrong with working a job and that you're a slave, no. What needs to change is our economy. What needs to change is our system. And our incentives in our system is what we need to change. There's nothing wrong with working a job. The problem is all of the profits and wealth should not go to the top. It should be evenly distributed amongst all people, which is why we need to get involved in decentralization, which is why we need distributed networks. That's why we need it, because we need a better economy that rewards people that want to work and want to build things and make things. That's what we need. Now, I'll get into your question, Alexander Wilson. Why is Microsoft garbage? They took a lot of the cloud market in 2019 from Amazon, and I think there will be a great benefit from the stay-at-home workers. And now, see, Alexander Wilson, I love that you said that, because that's what investing is about, right? When I say that Microsoft is garbage, I'm going off of based upon what I know, which is limited information, right? I'm just going off of the fact that I view Microsoft as legacy technology. I don't view Microsoft as an innovative company. But you seem to be more in tune as to what's really happening underneath the hood with the whole cloud computing and the whole cloud space, the cloud, right? And when I was looking into the Microsoft Azure thing that you sent me, I said they look like they're trying to be like AWS. Now, I don't know how much market share they was able to capture from Amazon, right? But I just know that from what I've seen from Microsoft and what I see from their products that I've been experiencing as a user, like their Surface sucks, right? Like sucks. Their software, as far as like their, the software that they have, their OS, the operating system sucks. So when I see that, I automatically just assume that they're a garbage company. Now, I'll look into it, but from Microsoft's track record, even going back to the Zoom, I think it was, or the Zoom, like they've been flopping after product after product after product. So it's like, Microsoft, in my opinion, they're really only profitable because they force everyone to have to use their products and use their operating system. But as far as innovating and innovation, I don't see it. Now, maybe it is with the cloud. And throughout this week, when I start doing the research for the question you asked me, maybe I may change my mind. But I just don't think that they're going to be able to compete with Amazon, in my personal opinion. I think that Jeff Bezos is a shrewd businessman. And he's going to outwork all of them. That's just my opinion. But again, I'll look into it and see what is there. Darnell Edmond, thank you for the donation. But again, last thing, Alexander Wilson, I'll have a better answer for you on Sunday. So I'll have a much better answer for you on Sunday when we do our Q&A. And for those of you who donate through PayPal, don't think that I don't see your donations. Sunday is the day when we sit down and we go over the questions, because I really like to research things before I speak on things. And hit the like button, guys. It's free to like the video. Darnell Edmond, thank you for the donation. None of these so-called woke brothers control the economics of their own community. So what do they really have to offer? People want this conspiratorial victimhood BS. I support you 100%. Thank you, Darnell Edmond. I appreciate that. And that's one of the biggest problems. And I'm glad you said that. When I sit back and I ask myself this question. You hear a lot of people talk about, like depopulation, for example, right? And people come up with these conspiracy theories. And not saying that conspiracy theories aren't true. But you never really hear people dive into like math and science, right? Like they never come to you from an analytical standpoint. They always come to you from like you said, the conspiracy standpoint. So like no celebrity can die naturally. It has to always be a conspiracy if a celebrity passes away. If, the economy crashes, it has to be, it was engineered, it was structured, they knew what they were doing. It has to be, the virus was made in a laboratory. It's like nothing just naturally happens. So viruses don't exist. Viruses don't exist. Germs don't exist. Death doesn't exist. Like, it's always a conspiracy. Like, Nipsey Hussle can't just have been killed by another man. It has to be the government. right? Yet black men get killed every day. And it's not the government that killed them, but somehow Nipsey Hussle, because he had a little flea market, he just was a big target. Yet no one knew who Nipsey Hussle was prior to him getting killed. Right? I never knew who the hell Nipsey Hussle was until the day he died. Most people didn't know who Nipsey was until he passed away. But yet somehow the government just, he had to be a blood sacrifice for Rock Nation. You start hearing these crazy things. It's just like, and no one like fact checks them. Right? Like, and that's what happened with Umar when he made that crazy thing about Kobe Bryant. Like, when you see that with Kobe Bryant, how Umar Johnson was just all over the place and talking about they sabotaged the propeller and it was really a rotor on top of the plane and on top of the helicopter. Like, he was just all over the place. And so many people were just like, this is the Hotep. Like, this is what they do. And they create these theories out of nowhere. Like I hear people talk about depopulation, and I asked them a question: how many people existed on planet Earth prior to 1900? Right? Like when you ask people from a scientific standpoint, right? If you look at population growth and you apply it to the rule of 70, and the rule of 70 tells you how long it takes for something to double. Well, if we have a population growing at a 2% rate, that means that the population is going to double within a matter of 50 years. So whether you believe depopulation is real or fake or whether it's necessary, you're not asking the important question. If we're having trouble housing and feeding and clothing and living in a clean environment with 7 billion people on the earth, what is it going to look like when there's 14 billion? What is it going to look like when there's, 28 billion people on planet Earth? Because prior to the Industrial Revolution, there was less than 2 billion people on the earth. But see, when you talk like that, people go, "Oh, you sound like a eugenist. You sound..." No, it's math. It's numbers. It's math. And when you ask that question, people can't answer that question for you. When you ask them, okay, apply the population growth rate to the rule of 70 and see how long it takes something to double. Nobody can answer those questions for you. And those are the questions that we need to be asking ourselves, right? How long is it going to take for the population to double? Where are all these people going to live? How are we going to clean? How are we going to make sure that we have proper drinking water, clean drinking water, and food, and shelter, and irrigation systems? But, people don't ask those questions, and this is the problem where people don't really live. There's no they don't approach things from an intellectual standpoint, because most of these people, it's all about trying to get money out of you at the end of the day and to get you emotional. It's all about emotion. My bad. I said rule of 70. Sorry, I've been talking too long. I meant to say rule of 72. Thank you for that correction, L Cool J. Rule of 72. But like I said, people don't ask those important questions, and they don't like apply math and science to anything. It's just just a bunch of like conspiracy theory and just all over the place, and it's just like it's not rooted in anything that's like scientific. I remember I was first exposed to that too. I used to think about those crazy conspiracy theory things too, until I had somebody sit me down and really show me, like, look at the population growth and look how many people, look at the problems that we're having. What are we going to do about climate change? What are we going to do about feeding these people? What are we going to do about clothing these people? Where are all these people going to fit? Like, when you start asking these questions, you just start saying like, those are really important questions. But you don't see anybody talking about that because that's too logical. It's too logic based. So let's take a few more questions. We got 84 minutes. Hey, just getting here. How you doing, Angelica? So the struggle. No, I haven't had a chance to check out level 2. I'm gonna check all of that stuff out within the next couple of days. Let's see what's going on in here. Nipsey more of a LA street legend than a hip hop legend. Okay, cool. I came from watching a video for school. What the hell is this? Okay. Why am I here? Who knows? But you're blocked. I mean, you would know why you're here because you clicked on the video. I tell you, man, some of these people are crazy. I never said that I was for population control. I asked you a question. What are you going to do? See, that's known as a deflection, right, Tony Jones Clark? And I'm not attacking you, right? But that's just like a deflection that most people say, like, oh, so are you for depopulation? No, I'm asking the question, a legitimate question. What are we going to do? Like, see, people never want to talk about the solutions, right? Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about population growth? What are we going to do about housing and taking care of 14 billion people and making sure they have clean water and food? What are we going to do? Right? These are the kind of questions and things that we need to be talking about, not coming up with a conspiracy theory as to why we got to depopulate the earth. No. If you want 14 billion people on the planet Earth, how are we going to make sure that we have enough resources for all 14 billion people? Right? How are we going to come up with a sustainable system for 14 billion people when a third of the world is living in poverty? Right? These are important questions. Thank you for the donation, Abdullah Jewel. Jewel, are you familiar with Life After Google and its author, George Gilder? He's saying that blockchain will end cloud computing. No, I haven't, but I mean, I'll write it down and we can talk about it on our Q&A on Sunday. So let me write down what you're saying. I think that that's really good. I'll look into it. So Life After Google. I've never heard of that, but I'll look into it. Sounds interesting. George Gilder. See, this is what bothers me. So it says Nipsey's message and actions was important to our people. Like, that listen, man. So Michael Jackson's actions was important, I guess. Like, every time a celebrity dies, it's always going to be something. Like, listen, at a certain point, man, you have to grow. You have to grow as a person, man. Listen, I lived in what you call a quote unquote hood. I've seen people get shot over stepping on somebody's shoe. Like, if you come from the quote unquote hood, you've seen people die and get killed over nothing. I've seen people die over nothing. I've seen people, somebody try to talk to their girl and they'll pull a gun out on them. But that's why, I don't want to try to downplay anybody, but when you've been outside and you come from certain environments, you know what would come with those environments. People die over nothing. So when I seen it, I knew what it was immediately. There's no conspiracy to that. People die all the time. But the problem with a lot of people is that they live in these bubbles, right? They live in these feedback loops where, like, they listen to, like, for example, and I know this is going left because it's going out of the investing realm, but, like, I came across a Hassan Campbell video. And I was sitting there and I was listening to him speak. And I was asking myself, what would make a person that's an adult want to sit here and listen to a man that's in his car that clearly is paranoid, clearly has a lot of mental trauma, he's been through some things. What would make a person gravitate and listen to something like that? Right? You know, like why would you want to, what's going on in your life mentally, like physically and mentally and spiritually, that you see this guy that's dysfunctional? He's drunk all the time on YouTube. He's always ranting and raving. None of his predictions are correct. He's been factually proven to be wrong on so many different stories, and yet people listen to him. And now you got to start really like building on that and think about how many of those people are walking around in your neighborhoods, right? Think about how many mentally unstable people are walking around in your hood. But see, many of you, are not from that environment. Like when you understand that, where I come from, like mental illness is real. There's a lot of mentally ill people, right? Like there's a lot of mentally ill people walking around in our community that look normal. They may have the latest Jordans on, the latest outfit on, but their mind is not right. And all it takes is for them to drink a little bit or smoke something, and they'll come and do something to you. And so when you add that to like a Nipsey Hussle, like when you from that environment, you understand you're dealing with some crazy people that's been institutionalized. They did a lot of time in prison. They don't have their right mind. So it's easy to see a person just, get killed. Like the dude Eric Holder just came home from prison. Like, think about that. Think about when you living in that prison environment, how violent that environment is, and how that shapes and warps your mind. Like, that's why I say a lot of you claim to be woke, but you're not really that woke, because if you was woke, you would say to yourself, like, when you look at that environment, that environment breeds violence. Right? Like the quote unquote hood breeds violence. And then you go to prison and that breeds more violence. And then now you're shocked that a gang member comes home and kills another gang member. And you can't see it for what it is. It has to be a conspiracy. Yet gang members kill gang members every day. So when a regular person dies, it's not a conspiracy. But if a celebrity dies, it's a conspiracy. Why? Because Nipsey Hussle wasn't inspiring me. And no one in my family was saying, hey, they want to be like the next Nip, until he passed away. And everybody said it was sad. It was tragic. But it wasn't because he was some next revolutionary leader, because he wasn't leading no revolution. Nipsey Hussle was overcharging you for CDs and T-shirts. Let's just keep it real. Like, he was selling with a CD for $100, a mixtape for $100. Like, he wasn't doing nothing revolutionary, but making money. But I don't, like I said before, I don't want to. Rest in peace to the brother. I don't want to attack him in any way. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to attack him in any way. God bless him and his legacy. But let's be honest, man. I had a friend that died over nothing, over a jacket. I remember I was in like 9th or 10th grade. And guys, thank you for the donation. Mr. G, right? I had a friend, we went to a house party and he died over a jacket. We wasn't really even like friends like that. He just used to be around. And he died over a jacket though. And the dudes who stabbed him up, I think it was like a few weeks later or a month later, they had his jacket on. I seen I think he was 16 years old or 15 years old. And he died over a Mermont coat. An orange Mermont coat. I never forget, he had the Nike boots and the Mermont coat. And he died over a Mermont coat. And the dudes that stabbed him, he was like 15, 16. They stabbed him. He bled on a jacket. They were still wearing the bloody jacket days later. Weeks later. Like, so it's like, listen, I done seen stuff in my life. So you can't come to me with that conspiracy theory stuff. Like, listen, man, people die in the hood every day, over nothing. And like Tony Bates just said, if he was woke, you wouldn't even have been in that environment. right? Because woke people know what's in the hood. And I love that comment that you just put in there, right? You know, if you woke people know what the hood, you know what I'm saying? Woke people know what come with the hood and what's in the hood, and why it's important to move very, very carefully when you in that environment and you got money. Woke people know, right? It's a lot of mental illness, a lot of violence, a lot of anger, and a lot of frustration. You know. Mermaid coats are old, guys. I was in high school. I think I was in high school probably. That's why I said it's hard to remember. I mean, I was in high school like, you know, I was in high school maybe like I graduated what, 2007? It's hard to remember numbers. I have so much numbers in my head. It start getting foggy. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like when you're looking at numbers and math all day long, you start to like lose a lot of stuff. Like I'm realizing like I'm starting to forget a lot of like important dates and stuff because it's just like I look at numbers so much, you start to get confused with numbers. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So let's see what other questions is in here. I'm not misinformed about Nipsey Hussle at all. I'm not misinformed. I looked into who he was. I looked into what he was doing, and I'm just telling you guys, like he wasn't doing anything that he wasn't doing anything revolutionary. Listen, Elijah Muhammad wrote the book Message to a Black Man. Right? Elijah Muhammad been talking about this stuff for years. There's nothing, you know, like, and this is what frustrates me about these woke people. You know, we had Dr. Ben, you know, we had so many, we had Khalid, like there's so many revolutionaries, you know, the Black Panthers. At this point, if you're not woke, then you're not woke. Right? Like we don't need, we had enough revolutionaries coming up. At this point, if you don't know that nation building starts at home, if you don't know at this point that there's nothing in these streets but death and violence, then that just means something's mentally wrong with you. I was the first male in my family to go to college. I didn't need the Quran to tell me stay out the streets. I didn't need any of that, because I could look at the pain that my uncle put my grandmother through. I can look at the pain that my brother put my mother through. Like I don't, you know, I don't need to, you know, I don't need to experience things to see, like to go through something to see it. At this point, as a people, man, if you can't see what's out here in your face, you know, like, listen, man. I mean, Queen Latifah and them had a song back in, I think I was a baby back then, but they had a song called Self-Destruction. You know, people been talking about, you know, building the community for the longest and stopping, you know, black on black crime for the longest. So it's like at a certain point, man, people been talking about this for decades. Farrakhan and them been out there in the streets. The Nation of Islam done been out there. You done had the Black Panthers. At a certain point, you know, you got to just start saying, listen, you can't convince me to go stand on the corner in the cold and sell drugs, because I know it's no money there. I don't, like, I didn't need my dad or my mommy to tell me that, because I could see my uncles and them was broke. You know, like I didn't need that. You know, like, I'm just being honest with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't need that type of stuff. Like I could see things, man. Like you know, we had enough. You have enough things to see what certain paths lead you and where to go down. You know, like, and again, like I said, I'm not trying to discredit the brother's legacy. I don't want to try to put the brother down in any way. I just want to be honest and put things, you know, in and proper perspective, man. Like at a certain point, a man becomes a man. At a certain point, a woman becomes a woman, and you have to own the decisions that you make. Right? And I'm being honest with you. At a certain point, like, I don't need to touch a stove to know that it's hot. And if I touch it the first time, I don't have to touch it a second time to know that it's hot as well. Like listen, man, I got a brother in prison right now. Like, let's be honest with you. Listen, and he's back in there because he wants to keep up this lifestyle that we know is self-destructive. We know that street lifestyle is counterproductive and is self-destructive, and we know that. Right? We know that. Like I said before, you don't have to keep bumping your head up against the wall and know that it's a wall. Right? You don't have to do that. And then you see people come out and they do the same thing, and it's like there's no excuse because you have me. And I'm here trying to teach you about stocks and teach you about real estate and teach you about crypto. And you don't want to do that because, see, that takes work to grow. And that goes back to Grant Cardone. That goes back to Jay Morrison. See, all of this stuff is connected. It's all connected. I promise you guys, all of this stuff is connected. I know you probably say, so what the hell are you talking? Because it goes back to mind state, right? When you have knowledge of self and you understand what real wealth is, right? Real wealth is self-preservation. Right? That's the highest form of elevation. You take care of self first. Because I cannot be an asset to no one else if I'm not an asset to myself. Right? Self-preservation is the highest form of elevation. If I can't take care of self, I can't take care of you. So if I can't be productive to myself, I can't be productive to my family. So when you understand that nation building starts at home, when you understand success starts at home, then you understand the importance of doing certain things and weeding out certain people and certain elements out of your life. I dipped and dabbed in a few things in my life. I went astray a few times in my life, but I was always able to, come back center because you can see, again, if I bang my head up against the wall the first time and it hurt, I don't got to hit my head a second time to know it's going to hurt. Right? Like at a certain point, you evolve out of certain things and you become a man at a certain point. Right? At a certain point, you grow and you become a man and you grow out of certain things. When you a boy, you do as a boy would do, and then you will become a man. And like I said, that you wake up and that's when you become woke. I like what Manic Tiger said. Working jobs they hate to buy things they can't afford to impress people they don't like, and I've seen it. That's what. Listen, stereotypes exist because some aspect of it is true. Right? I've already talked about the charts, Tyler Bennett. I'm done talking about the charts. I did that for an hour and a half. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about now, and then after that, if you want me to talk about the charts, go back. You can go back to the beginning of the video. I'm done talking about the charts. Yeah, but that goes back to money being debt, right, guys? Like once you understand that money is debt, you'll be real hesitant about how you spend money. Right? Because you understand that you're going into debt for this money. You wouldn't just be that frivolous with it. Yes, I'm from New York. Aaron Nato. I agree. Woke people make excuses. They create fantasy worlds in their head and point fingers. Based on what I'm reading on CNBC, it looks like the withdrawal in the IRA. Guys, you don't have to read CNBC. It's right here in the legislation. The 49th law. All of the information is right here in this Legislation. I'll put it in the chat for you. Go and read it. It's in the legislation. I would disagree with you, Tony Based. I would disagree with you. And the reason why I would disagree with you is I believe that it's hard, but I also believe that it comes down to one of the key things about raising children in disadvantaged backgrounds. It comes back to your value system, your morals. Because like here in New York, I only can speak for New York City, right? I'll answer your question in a second, Darnell Edmond. That's a good question, right? In New York City is a weird place. You can have the projects right here on 116th and Lenox. There could be a project building. That's what people call the hood. And right across the street or a block down could be a $5 million or $50 million building or a $5 million brownstone. And they're within blocks of each other, right? They're within blocks of each other, right? So they're in the same environment, but it's the value systems of the culture of the two environments, right? Now, don't get it twisted, right? I'm not stupid, and it's not like I don't understand racism and understanding what slavery and Jim Crow and redlining did to us as far as putting us in those conditions. So don't ever think that I'm blind to those things. I understand that those things play a part, right? Like I understand those things play a part. I'm not going to sit up here and ever say that they don't. But what I'm saying to you is that for people to be so woke, right? Like for people to be so woke, how do you justify that? How can you justify that there are people within blocks of you, that have these, different value systems and morals, right? And then I hear people say, well, a lot of these crimes happen over survival. And I'm just like, I live in a hood. I've seen things in my life. You can't tell me that's over survival. Like, because if it was over survival, you wouldn't be trying to steal a coat from a 15-year-old boy. You'll be trying to steal a coat from the store, right? Like when you really start asking yourself that question, like if I'm in survival and I'm in dire straits, I wouldn't be trying to steal a coat from another poor person. I would be trying to take a coat from a store, right? So you begin to understand there's a lot of contributing factors. Like I said before, I'm no fool. I understand what slavery did and systematic oppression in certain ways and lack of resources. I get all those things, right? I get all that, but I also understand the fact of you're not talking to some guy from the suburbs that watched a few rap videos. Like I got an uncle that did 17, another one that did 10. I got a brother doing another 3 years. I've seen a lot of things in my lifetime. I may look like this well put together person, but trust me, man, I've seen some things. I've been through some things. And many of it's self-inflicted, man, from what I've experienced, and I can't speak for everyone. I only can speak for what I've experienced, man. I only can speak for what I've experienced. Only speak for what I've experienced. And, I've seen some of the craziest things growing up in New York City, man. New York City is a rough place. New York City is not an easy place to live. And like the person that raised children, it's not easy. But it used to always intrigue me how so I would say, Tony Base, I'm like half and half with what you said. It's like I think it's the value system, and I think it's about exposure. I think it's about exposure. I never forget when I had left New York City for 1 year and I went up to this boarding school. And, I was so ignorant, right? This is the funny thing. I'm gonna leave the video like this, right? This is the funniest thing. You're gonna laugh at this. Back at the time when I went up to the boarding school, these stop snitching T-shirts were like they had the whole stop stitching campaign, and they used to make these T-shirts that had the stop sign and it had stop snitching on it, right? I think I was probably like 15, 16 back then. My parents they went down to Atlanta and left me up in New York City, staying with my grandmother. So here it is. I'm going up to this boarding school in New Hampshire to go play basketball, right? I just want to paint this scenario on you. The whole summer, I'm living in Harlem, playing basketball. I'm staying outside to 2, 3 in the morning. My grandmother can't tell me what time I need to be home and in the house. My grandmother's busy playing cards. My grandmother used to gamble a lot, right? So I didn't have no structure. Like, I just do what I want. Like, I go where I want. I do what I want. In New York City, there's always something going on. You know, you hop on a train, you can go anywhere. So I used to be everywhere as a kid. So to go from that looseness, hanging out in New York City all night long, to now you going up to a boarding school in New Hampshire where there's only 5 black people in the whole school that look like you. And, you know, because, you know, there's some black people, but they're not like where you from. You get what I'm trying to say? I don't know the name. I don't want to call them a derogatory name, but like all black people aren't created equal. Like there's some of us that's like from the hood, and then there's some that's different. And, you know, there's only like 5 other black people at the school that looked like me, that came from where I came from. The first day of school, I felt so out of place. I came up there, I had on a 5X Stop Snitching t-shirt, a do-rag, and I had on my Huaraches. And I remember like looking around and I felt so out of place up there, right? Like I felt so out of place because here it is, I got this big Stop Snitching t-shirt on, looking like a rapper. Like, you know, like, because in Harlem, that's how everyone dressed. And then you get up there to the school and like the kids, they have on, you know, cardigan sweaters, they have on polo shirts, and you know, like they had their little Dockers on and stuff. And it's like, you feel so out of place up there because it's like you look like a stereotype. And it's funny he said Dipset because that's how everyone dressed, you know, and like that comes from self-awareness. Like I was so self-aware that when I got there, I just felt so out of place, man. I was sitting there and I was just like, you know, I was like looking around and I was just saying to myself, like, I could just feel it. Like, you know, everyone's looking at you like a, you know, like you like some rapper or something. And it's just like, most people would think that was cool to be viewed that way. Like if I, like Dame Dash would think that's cool. Like I kind of felt stupid. Honestly, like I felt like you know how people say like being a coon. Like I kind of felt stupid because like I wasn't dressing that way because I wanted to dress that way. I was really dressing that way just because everyone else in the hood dressed that way. And it really just started showing me like so many of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis is influenced upon us. It's not our choice to dress that way. Right? Like it wasn't our choice. Like I didn't choose to wear a Stop Snitching t-shirt. Like I wore the Stop Snitching t-shirt because I thought it was like cool that everyone else did it. It wasn't because I wanted to wear the t-shirt, you know. And that's when I really first started growing and started like figuring out things that I wanted to do, you know. Like so like the whole point of me saying this is that like in life you really start asking yourself, like, is life happening to me or am I happening to life? You know, and you really start to ask yourself that question, like, why do you do the things you do? Why do you say the things you say? Why do you dress the way that you dress? Why do you believe the things that you believe? You know what I'm saying? Right? Like do you believe these things because you can prove them, or do you believe these things because other people told you to believe these things? You know, like you got to really ask yourself that question, you know, and you know, like, and as you begin to grow, you start like asking yourself that question, like, yo, who am I? Why do I think this way? Why do I think dressing this way is corny, or talking this way is corny, or watching this show is corny? Like, where am I getting these ideals from? And the reason why I went on this rant is going back to what I think Tony Bates the question was about. You know, like, it's hard to raise your kids in the hood because it all goes back to value systems. Like, what is the value system of the hood? What is the value system of the father that's in the house, or the mother, or the brothers that, like, what is the value system? Because if you value knowledge, you would never gravitate towards certain things. Excuse me. I like what Leftfoot Man said, product of your environment. You know, it definitely is a part. Definitely a part. You know, definitely is a part. You know, stop at 5, Angelica Pickles. Yeah, that's what they used to say. You know what I'm saying? So many of these idiots wound up dead, homeless, or permanently locked up. Yeah. You know, and it's the reality, you know. Like I said before, it just, you really just start asking yourself a lot of important questions, you know, and this all ties into investing, because this is why it's so easy for me to stand on my square when it comes to Bitcoin, right? Because, like, I believe in it because I believe in it, because I researched it, because I know it. So I'm confident in it. Like, no one can influence, like a Grant Cardone can't influence me. Jay Morrison can't influence me. You know, like when you hear the word influencer, what are they influencing you to do? Like, those are the important questions you got to ask. You have to ask yourself, like, what are they influencing you to do? Are they influencing you to be a better version of you? Are they influencing you to, you know, participate in some type of a scheme that benefits them? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I've been saying, your value system. Like, what the morals? Like, you got to ask yourself that. I value knowledge. I want information, and I want practical knowledge. Like, I don't want you to give me some knowledge that I can't use, right? You know, I love information. I love reading and researching things that I can apply in my life that's going to make me better. You know, those are the things to me that matter. And again, like I said before, and I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone. I'm not saying that I have it all figured out, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect in any way. I'm just simply saying that as you grow as a man and a woman, your value system needs to change. How you view things needs to change, and so that you can make better decisions. And I pride myself in being self-aware. Like, when I make a mistake, I'm aware enough to know I made a mistake. Yeah, practical knowledge, not knowledge that can be applied. What do you think about people like Michael Eric Dyson or Boyce Watkins and their philosophy on blacks? I think you asked another question, Darnell Edmond, and I'm sorry I went on a rant. You know, don't worry, I'm going to delete most of this. You said, do you recommend paying off all debt if you get a lump sum of money, or investing first? I believe in, again, I believe in balance. You know me, I'm all about balance when it comes to investing. I'm a firm believer in, I never want to go over like 40% of my debt unless I'm like trying to transfer balances on my credit cards. Like, if I'm like playing a credit card game, I'll like max out a credit card and use the same credit card money to pay it back. But I did a video on that. You can go watch a video. But like, as far as, it all depends on what type of debt it is. It all depends on what type of debt it is, right? Like, if it's real estate debt and it's not really going to benefit me in any way, then no. But I believe that you should all the time try to stay below 40% of overall debt. Like, your debt to income ratio should never go above 40%, in my opinion. Now, when you ask me about Michael Eric Dyson and Boyce Watkins, I think Boyce Watkins is disgusting. I think people like Boyce Watkins is very counterproductive. I think that he appeals to the lowest common denominator, and he doesn't try to stretch people. I think that rather than asking questions or posing questions to people to make them think, or to make them, you know, think about why do they believe what they believe, I think that Boyce Watkins gives them that excuse, you know, that it's the mammy culture, or it's the bed wenches, like, you know, very, very divisive and calculated in what he does, going after a certain demographic, you know, sort of like how Umar does. You know, like Umar Johnson knows how to play on people's inadequacies, and he goes after a vulnerable group of people, you know, and I just think that that's very, very problematic. And I think that people like him is problematic. Now, Michael Eric Dyson, I think he's a silver tongue. He speaks very well. He's, you know, very fluent in the way he speaks and puts words together. And one thing about our people, because we have that, that church background, we love to hear someone speak, eloquently and, put words together. But he backs a lot of things that are problematic for our community. Like, and the best way I can put this together is think about like the Breakfast Club, right? Like when you look at the Breakfast Club, you have to ask yourself, like, they try to sell us Kamala Harris, they try to sell us Malik Yoba, and then they turned around and they tried to sell us Hillary Clinton, who drafted the 1994 crime bill, right? And there's no way that you, in good faith and good conscience, can support anything about Hillary Clinton, right? Like when you see what that 1994 crime bill did to our communities, you can't overlook that, right? And if you're not going to do anything to remedy the effects of that crime bill and how it impacted us disproportionately, you can't take that serious, right? And then the reason why I mentioned the Breakfast Club and Michael Eric Dyson is because Michael Eric Dyson represents that, like, that boule class of people who, they act like they're down for the cause or down for the struggle, or they understand what you're going through, but they support things that are counterproductive to uplifting, the entire collective. Right? Like you have to ask yourself that question, and I'm glad you just said that, L Cool J, because that platform had Polite, that platform had Umar, that platform had Boyce, that platform had Michael Eric Dyson, but I don't think that B Walker, it's not that he wants to be a rapper, it's that he knows that we like rappers. See, that goes back to culture and value system, right? Like, that goes back to what boy. See, people, people they placate to that hip hop culture, and that's why I tried to say before. It gets back to, like, why was I wearing a stop snitching T-shirt at 16 or 15 years old? I wasn't in the streets. I was a basketball player. I mean, I was outside, but I wasn't into no street stuff like that. I was playing ball. So what was it? Why would I wear a Stop Snitching T-shirt? I would never be in a situation where I had to snitch, because hip hop influenced me. Like someone said, Dipset. Like when I was growing up, everyone wanted to be like Cameron, or everyone wanted to be like 50 Cent. Like, like that was, even if you didn't play in the streets, like that was just the culture. And you have to ask yourself, like, so when Michael Eric Dyson is quoting rappers and speaking like rappers, he understands he's trying to tap into that consciousness, of you to get you to do something. And you have to be mindful of. That's why it's important of who you listen to and what are they trying to get you to do and where are they trying to take you. And I know that this is outside of the stimulus bill, but I just, I think that these conversations are important because a lot of younger black men listen to me. And I think that it's my duty to try to, spark something in them to think a little bit differently. Not think like me. I don't want you to think like me. I want you to just think differently or question the decisions that you make. Like, again, why am I wearing a Stop Snitching T-shirt? Why? Why am I hanging out to 2-3 o'clock in the morning doing nothing really but just standing around? Why? Like someone's influencing that behavior on me. So when I look at the voices and, like I said before, it's just, it's disgusting to me. It's really disgusting to me to do that, because you're playing on people's fears. Like even with the whole virus thing that's happening right now, he keeps focusing on how many people are dying, right? And he's a PhD, so I know he has a science background. I know he had to take some science and math courses to get a PhD. It's not about how many people are dying. As I said before, who cares where it was made at? If it was made in a lab, if it was made by the Illuminati, at this point, I don't care. You know what it is? I don't want to get it. And I don't want anyone in my family that's elderly to get it. So if we got to do social distancing or we got to stay in the house, I'd rather do that than get it and have my grandmother pass away or have my aunt pass away because I listened to some guy on the internet. Or now let's look past the death rate and let's look at the injury that it can do to your lungs and your respiratory system. See, people keep talking about how do people recover, but when they recover, they don't talk about the injury that's done to them. You know, so and then you have to think about the spread and stuff like that. So yeah, the politicians are going to milk it. Of course, they're going to try to get more control. Guys, I'm a libertarian. You know what I'm saying? You think I don't know about government abuse? You think I don't know about governments overstepping their boundaries? I'm a libertarian. I know about this stuff. I'm very well equipped about government abuses of their power and suspending the Constitution and stuff like that. I wasn't born yesterday. But I also do know, like, for example, like HIV, it may have been made in the laboratory, but it's real, right? If you go out here and you have unprotected sex with a person, I don't care if it was made in the lab or not. You're going to get it if that person has it. And yeah, there may be medications and cures and all that, but God damn it, I don't want it, right? I don't want it, right? I don't care if it's man-made. I don't care if it's made in the laboratory. I don't want it. You see it? That's a good question, Tony Bass. That's a great question. If you go back and watch some of my older videos, I've been saying I wanted to move out of New York and I wanted to move to Texas or the state of Georgia, mainly Atlanta. Right? And I've been saying that for the longest, that I want to move to Texas or I want to move to the state of Georgia. And I just have a love-hate relationship with New York. I have a love-hate relationship. My mother and them moved down to, like I said, they had left me up here in New York City when I was like 15, 16. And they went down to Atlanta and I visited and I just didn't like it. But now that I'm older, I want to leave. It's just, I guess I have to shake a little bit more out of New York. I have to shake a little bit of New York out of me. You know what I'm saying? See, Taylor, remember, I really, really I like Texas. I like the freedom. I like the space. For the amount of money I spend in rent up here, I could have a mansion. You know, like rent up here is expensive. But again, that comes back to growth. I have some growing to do. I need to get out of that phase of New York City, you know. And especially what's going on right now is making me want to get out of there, get out of here even more. So I've been saying it for a while. It's just a matter of, you know, doing it. Angelica Pickle said, I'm from New York, didn't like the South, but I'm in Maryland now. I have no idea where I want to be and stay. Yeah. As I said before, like now where I'm at, I like the fact of there's no, I believe there's no state income tax in the state of Texas. I like the space. I like the gun rights, the property rights. I love that type of stuff. You know, so but I'm a city, listen, man, I'm a city kid. I always loved New York City, man. Like it's in you. Well, I mean, I've played against the best of the best, man. I've played against Kevin Durant. Me and Jerome Dyson, he played for the Pelicans. We were on the same team. Curtis Kelly, like I played against J.R. Smith when J.R. Smith was nice right before he came out of high school. I done played with the best. I played with the New York Gauchos. I don't know, like if you know about New York City. But I played with the New York Gauchos. That was the AAU team here in New York City. We were ranked number 1 in the whole AAU circuit. We went undefeated one summer. I went to Rice High School. That was one of the top high schools in New York City and in the country. We beat Oak Hill 2 years in a row. So like the hoop thing, like I played against Al Jefferson before everybody even knew who he was. I remember we beat them. I remember we played against the Atlanta Celtics. They had Dwight Howard, Gerald Green, Rajon Rondo. So, you know, so, like I said, I played against a lot of good players, So there's not one player like I wanted to like play against, So, I played like I'm trying to think right now who else I played against. I played against KD, Ty Lawson before he went down that spiral. OJ Mayo, Bill Walker, because I was in the class of 07. So I played against a lot of people. Ty Lawson was really short and really fast. He played with the DC Blue Devils. Nah, you know the funny thing, Tony Bates? I tell the story all the time. I held Kevin Durant scoreless for the whole first half, and he dropped 40 in the second half. Kevin Durant on the Nike circuit, he was 40 in the book every night. Just put 30 in the book every night for KD. But I held him scoreless for one half, and then he went crazy the second half. You know who else was really, really nice, and he just didn't work out in the NBA? Michael Beasley. Michael Beasley was one of the toughest players I've ever guarded in my life. Like, Michael Beasley was nice. He used to play for the Heat. He played on the Knicks for a while. He never really took off in the NBA. He was on Minnesota for a while. I'm telling you, man, Michael Beasley was a beast, man. I'm telling you, Michael Beasley was a beast. He was left-handed. He could jump out the gym. He was solid. Like, he could shoot the ball. Like, Mike Beasley was an animal. I played against him a lot of times. Like, Michael Beasley was nice. I'm 6'7". Yeah, Beasley went to Kansas State. When I was at Rice, though, it was me, Curtis Kelly. Curtis Kelly went to UConn. Edgar Sosa went to Louisville. Kemba Walker went to Rice. Kemba from the Boston Celtics, he went to Rice, but he didn't play varsity when I was there. He was on the freshman team when I was there. Kemba Walker went to Rice High School with us as well. Kemba was really good. They used to call him B-Easy, and Mike Beasley was a beast, yo. I'm telling you, son, he was a beast, man. Like, he was so talented, but he just couldn't leave the drugs alone. That was his thing, that weed, man. Like, he couldn't put the weed down. Like Stephen A. Smith said, stay off the weed. No, I didn't get hurt. My problem was I was a freak athlete. I was really, really athletic, but I never really worked on my perimeter skills. So I didn't really develop the way that I needed to develop. Like, I was one of those guys you call like a tweener. Like, I wasn't big enough to play down low, and I didn't have the guard skills to play on the perimeter, right? I would just run and dunk. And you got to understand, in New York City, we play a lot of summer ball, so it doesn't really force you to work on your skills. So, like, all summer, we were just running around. We was beating everybody, about 30, so we just running around dunking all day long. And then, like, my perimeter skills didn't develop enough until I was in my 20s. And then at that point, it was just like, I didn't have the same drive anymore. That's when, like, especially, like, once I took that red pill and I woke up to life, and realizing that, like, with basketball, I was like a slave, and, I didn't have that same drive no more. It's funny you say that, Humble Kurt, because in today's NBA, being a tweener is, it's just a blessing. But when I was coming up, like, we had Shagari. Shagari was 7'3". Like, we had big centers and stuff. So I played with Taj Gibson. He was older than us, though. Taj was really, really old. He played on the Gauchos with us. But yeah, like, that was my thing. Like, So, would you say you're similar to Darius Miles? Yeah, I was probably smaller than Darius Miles because Darius Miles looked like he's like 6'9". I was like, I play like Sean Marion. Like, I'm gonna upload my highlight tape for y'all one day. I'll put it up on here. I play like my game. I play just like Sean Marion. If you remember Sean Marion from the Phoenix Suns, that's exactly how I played. Like, I could hit the open three, and I was really, really athletic, but I couldn't really like handle the ball and stuff like that. But I didn't have, again, growing up, I didn't have proper guidance. And that was my biggest problem. Like, if I would have had a stable home, I think I would have been I would have been able to pursue my professional career. Like, I would have been able to do what I wanted to do. I didn't have no discipline growing up. Like, no one was there to tell me what to do. I didn't have any discipline. And that was my biggest problem. Like, as I said before, I was like, imagine being 15, 16 years old and you live in New York City on your own. You know, you come home when you want to, you go to school when you want to. My grandmother would give me like $20 here, there. I just go outside. Like, I didn't have no structure. I think if I would have had a lot of structure, things would have been much different for me if I had more structure. But I think sometimes it's a gift and a curse because maybe I wouldn't have turned into the person I am today. Not a gift and a curse, but sometimes things happen for a reason, because had I not had that experience growing up, then I wouldn't be where I am today with the mindset. No. 31. I played with Kevin Durant. I couldn't be 35 plus. They was moving around. They went down to Atlanta, and I was at Rice High School, the top school in the country. Why the hell am I gonna leave? I'm not talking to you, Charlotte Net. In my mind, I was saying, like, why the hell am I gonna leave New York City to go down to the country? You know, like, why the hell am I gonna leave? I'm gonna leave New York City. No, because you gotta understand, like, when we was playing with Taj Gibson, we were freshmen and Taj Gibson was a senior. So you gotta think about that. Like, Taj Gibson was a senior and we were freshmen. So, and he was old back then. Like, he was ringing because we was playing like 17 and under, and he was like 19. Taj Gibson was old. Taj Gibson was real old. Yeah, he's on the Knicks now. I see him on sometime. We link up, we go play ball. And you know, that's the thing I like about New York City is like how it's so many like celebrities and people and stuff like that. That's what I like about New York City. So it's always something to do in New York City. But I think like as you get older, you start thinking about like, you know, having a family and stuff like that. You start thinking like, you know, maybe I want to get out of New York. He said, "You still nice. You getting busted out here." Nah, listen, man. I still can play. I gotta lose some weight though. That's what I need to do. I need to lose some weight, man. And with this quarantine thing, it's making it hard to lose weight because you're stuck in the house. I need to get back into the gym so I can lose some weight. Now, I don't have that same drive for basketball anymore. I don't have the drive anymore, Tony Bass. I don't have that drive anymore to like play like that on that level. I don't have the drive anymore. No, I don't think that they could start their own league at all because just the infrastructure that you need to have in place. I don't see how they would be able to do it. You know, the level of money and connections and networking. The NBA has a really, really good deal, man. Like when you look at the NBA, the players get paid well. The players get almost 50% of the revenue. Right? So you got to think about it like the NBA is not like the NFL. The NBA players, they get a lot of the revenue that the owners and stuff make. So the NBA is a pretty fair league when it comes to compensation with the dividing up the money and stuff. The NBA is pretty good. You know, it's different than the NFL and other sports leagues. I just think that rather than having your own league, we just need more ownership. Right? No, listen, I didn't clamp the rent. Let's make it clear. I don't want nobody. I locked the rent up for one half. The second half, the rent went for 40. So, nah, you can make estimates, pro woman, Jack. NBA players get a fair deal, man. The NBA players, they're making good money. You can't say that they're high paid slaves in the NBA. In other sports leagues, you can make a difference, but the NBA players, they're fairly taken care of. You know, the thing is about just getting ownership now. The NBA players make good money. They make pretty decent money. No, but listen, I had what 19 that game against Kevin Durant, so I played good. I mean, it's just like so. I played well. But we've been going for 2 hours. I'm gonna leave the live stream here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know we went off topic, but it was good just to dialogue. It was good to dialogue and talk to you guys. So please, guys, like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, join the mailing list. Also follow me on Instagram and connect with me. And if you want to support the content financially, the PayPal, the Cash App is below. Thank you to everyone that's donated. For those of you who've asked me questions, Sunday we're going to do like the serious questions, like Ray's Realm, etc. We're going to cover all of that. For those of you who want to get the 401k information, just go back to the beginning of the video. I'm probably going to cut this video in half and upload half tomorrow that we talked about. So have a blessed and beautiful night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't worry, I'm going to look at level 2 citizen. I'm going to look at all of this stuff. Have a great night, guys.